Hello guys, welcome to Knack Fitness, and we are here with the coverage video of the Mr. Olympia 2019. And today I'm going to predict who are going to be my top 5 in the men's open category when it comes to Mr. Olympia 2019 competition, which is going to happen in about 10 days time. So before we get into the top 5, first of all I would like to shortlist those who have qualified for the Mr. Olympia competition, because there have been a lot of rumors circling around whether Fully is going to compete or not, or Shawn Rhoden is going to compete or not. So first of all, I think we need to look at who have qualified for the men's open category as far as Mr. Olympia's official website is concerned. So there is a list on it. I'm just going to go through it and you will see the athletes who have qualified. So starting from William Bonac, Max Charles, Hadi Choopan, Brandon Curry, Nathan Diasha, Jonathan De La Rosa, Clarence, Phil Heath, Dexter Jackson, Steve Kucolo, Josh, Michael Lockett, Patrick Moore, John Morrell, Lucas Osadil, Shawn Rhoden, Luke Sando, Mohammed Shaban, Akin Williams, and Roelly Winklaar. So these are the guys who are going to compete, or who have qualified to compete in the Mr. Olympia 2019 men's open category. So moving on, I think we need to focus on the top 5 athletes, considering that Shawn Flexitron Rhoden would be competing in the competition. Yes, there has been a lot of rumors circling around. There have been a lot of speculation whether Shawn would be competing or not, but as far as I'm concerned, I think he's going to compete. He's preparing for the competition, and I don't see any hurdle coming in his way for him to not get on stage. I think he would be on stage defending his title, which he so dearly won against Phil Heath back in last year. So we'll get to Shawn later on. First of all, I'm going to start with Brandon Curry, because I think he's going to be somebody who is going to give a tough fight to all these athletes who are going to compete come the next weekend. So Brandon, I think his strengths, as you can see in this picture, I think his strengths, they mostly rely on his upper body, which is amazing. Look at the size of his delts, the size of his arms, his traps, the way his chest is, and the way his lats are. They are attached a little lower compared to someone like Shawn Rhoden, for example, and his abdomen section, which is quite decent as well. So Brandon Curry, I think he's ripped. He recently, in recent pictures which he has uploaded on his social media and other also shared on social media, I think his body has matured now. He used to be a little, let's say, flat, as you can see in this picture before, but now I think that flatness has gone out from his body and he is now more ripped, more shredded. The conditioning is better and he is not flat anymore. So in the Arnold Classic, which to some was a very surprise win, I think it looked great. He's got the size. He always had the size, I guess, in the upper body. I think where he lacked was his legs. So since the time he has worked on his legs and he has really improved them, I think it's going to be like an amazing competition for Brandon Curry, I guess, because his legs are up now, his quads are good, his hamstrings are good, his back was always great, as you can see here in the latest picture. The size of his straps and that line look in the back is amazing, and I don't see probably him not coming into the top 3. Anyways, I'm gonna get that to later on. Right now we're going to discuss the top 5 athletes, and then at the end we're going to discuss who is going to end where as far as the food chain is concerned. So after Brandon, we'll go to William Bonac. Again, an amazing guy, amazing physique, a little short in height, not too tall, smaller muscle bellies, but smaller muscle size, I would say, my apologies, but bigger muscle bellies. So if you look at his side chest, it's just an amazing pose. The way his hammies are, the way his quads are, huge quads, and the chest is great, triceps, delts. The only problem which he has, according to me, because he's short in height, sometimes in order to get mass and in order to compete with guys like Big Ramy, which he has been or he had been doing like in the past 2-3 years, because Ramy was there and thereabout in the top 5, and probably he thought that he has to gain that size as well. He lost a bit of a control on his gut, and when you are shorter in height, that gut gets highlighted a little too much compared to somebody who is taller like Cedric. But his upper body is amazing, and genetically I think he's a blessed guy, and recently he changed his coach as well. I think those areas where he needed improvement, they have improved. Yeah, if you look at this shot where Brandon and William are posing together in the Arnold Classic, I think William hits Brandon out of the park when it comes to leg development. His legs are great, the quads, the hamstrings, and Brandon, unfortunately, I think genetically not too great when it comes to the quad development. But yeah, the upper body, you can see bigger muscle bones and bigger joints, which Brandon has, that gives him an edge over William when it comes to the size and the overall aura of a bodybuilder. There he does a little better. However, Mr. Olympias, they are not won on size, they are won on conditioning as well. And we can see that William Bonac is right there in this shot in the Arnold Classic. You can see that William, Roelly, and Brandon. William is not going to go anywhere else other than the top 3, I guess, if he comes up with a condition like this, because even though he's very short in size compared to Roelly and Brandon, still the shreddedness, the overall hypertrophy of his muscles is just amazing, and that does count, I think, when the judges are judging. Yeah, from the back side you can see as well, the right side, that's William. Amazing leg spread. Look at the way his glutes are tucked in. This shows that he has worked very, very hard on getting that water out of his body. His calves aren't bad either. Yeah, they're not the best, but they aren't bad. And his quad development is just amazing. I think his best part in his body is his quads. They're just huge and massive compared to his overall size. Now we come to the third guy, who is Dexter Jackson. And Dexter Jackson has been bodybuilding forever. He has been in the industry for, let's say, I think he's been competing in the highest level in Mr. Olympia Men's Open for like 16 years or 15 years. I might be wrong, like for a couple of years, but I think it has been that long. And he is working with Charles Glass again, and he is killing his legs. Recently he uploaded a video doing hamstrings, and I think he did like 5 exercises of 3 sets each for hamstrings only. Goes to show that he knows that his legs are lagging, and his legs are a bit short of where they need to be, and I think he realizes that, being an experienced guy, and he's working on them. So recently he won Tampa Pro. Those are the pictures we're going to show you just now, and you can see that his legs are improving. They're not that great, obviously. When you're 50, the legs are not going to go bigger, but yes, you can shred them a bit, and you can probably put a small inch on a size here and there, just to keep that balance. Obviously Dexter is not going to be the same as he was in the 2008 Mr. Olympia, which he won against Jay Cutler, but I think from the past 2-3 years where we've seen Dexter, like in 2015 when Kai did not participate, I think it was in 2014 or 2015, Dexter stood second, and from there till now he has only regressed when it comes to positions. He has gone down, Last time he did not even finish in top 6, but I think this time with Child's Class coming back in the loop, I think he might finish top 6 this time around, or top 5 at least, because his conditioning, if you see in this picture, obviously he's 50 years old. He's gonna look old when it comes to stomach area. He's gonna look old when it comes to, different parts of the body which have more meat on them, for example the lats and the quads. But I think the quad sweep has improved. It has improved greatly. His biceps, always a strong point for Dexter, and his chest, and he's called the Blade. That's the reason he's called the Blade, because he's got razor sharp muscle bellies, and I think he's going to play around that advantage of his and probably hide his disadvantages, which obviously include legs as well as belly, because when you're 50 the belly is not going to go back the way it used to when probably an athlete is 35 or 30 years old. Yep, so that's Dexter for you. And now we're gonna come to Roelly Winklaar. Roelly Winklaar, he is an amazing athlete. If you look at this picture from the last year's Mr. Olympia, there's on the left is Phil Heath, who stood second, and on the right is Roelly, who stood third. But for me, I think Roelly should have been at the second spot, but I think just giving out respect to the 7 times Mr. Olympia, the judges thought that it's fitting for him to get the number 2 spot, but I don't think he deserved the number 2 spot. Roelly did, because you can see in this picture the way Phil's gut is, the way, and at the same time how Roelly is holding his own. I think he should have stood second. Having said that, Roelly also has his weaknesses. If you see this picture where Roelly is posing and on the right side William is posing, you can see that there are some issues when it comes to Roelly posing. Obviously I'm not gonna be portraying it that great when it comes to pictures, but whoever has seen Roelly pose live, they know that he has some problem when it comes to posing. Look at this picture, man. Just look at the way he's leg pressing here. He's got huge quads, huge arms. His arms are, I think, the biggest arms we have right now in the industry. It's probably like somewhere close to where Ronnie used to have them. So his arms are huge. His overall body frame is huge. Look at this picture. Look at the size of him. Just look at his upper chest and his front delt, and on the traps right sitting on top of them. I think he's just huge. And if he cracks his posing, and if he cracks his composure, he can hold his poses correctly, I think he's going to give a run for money for all the athletes. Yeah, so that's Roelly Winklaar. And now we're going to come to Flexatron, Mr. Flexatron, Shawn Rhoden. So Shawn has had all the problems he would have had a nightmare of, has had these problems this year. He was amazing in the last Mr. Olympia. As you can see in this picture, no fat at all, I would say. I think he's on so low when it comes to body fat percentage that probably he's just barely standing there. But you have to commend the guy for being motivated, being true to himself, and he truly beat the hell out of Phil Heath last year and deservedly won it. As you can see in this picture, Shawn Rhoden and Phil Heath. Left Shawn Rhoden, right Phil Heath. You can see the differences when it comes to gut. Phil Heath was, due to that hernia operation and all that stuff, struggling a bit when it comes to getting the gut back into shape. While Shawn Rhoden and his face, you can see the calm and the composure that he's got things under control. Yes, Phil's quads are bigger. Yes, Phil's tricep is huge. Shawn Rhoden lacks there. But he won it. And he won it fair and square, I would say. And he deserved to win it. But yes, every year is a new year. Every Mr. Olympia is a new Mr. Olympia. And Shawn, after all those problems he has had with that legal trouble, I don't want to go ahead into details. I think everybody knows about it. You can Google it. I think he has been mentally very, very, very strong. Because like 4 months ago, look at him. Just look at him. He was like a fat dog, or he was like a, I don't know what he was, but he was so bad. I think he did not need to pose. A lot of people criticized, Shawn Rhoden criticized, Jay Cutler criticized him, and he did not need to do that. But that's Shawn Rhoden for you. He changes in days. As you can see in this picture, on the extreme left, I think that was April, I guess, March, April. Then the middle one I think is in June, and the extreme right one is in like July or August. And he's changed drastically. I don't know what he does, what Chris Aceto, his coach, does to him, but I think they are magicians. And if somebody can change so much, I think the other competitors, they have to be on their toes. They cannot just slack thinking that Shawn is not in his shape, Shawn is not of the same size as he was. I think if you are thinking that as a Dexter Jackson or as a Roelly Winklaar or as a Brendan Curry, I think you're making a huge mistake. Because if Shawn shows up like 95% of how he was in the last year, I think he's gonna win it. Because he's the reigning Mr. Olympia, and you have to beat the guy. If you are equal to that guy, I think the guy who already has the title is gonna win it. So you have to beat the guy, which means that you have to be better than him. And when you have to be better than him, you have to keep in mind that he's got all that tips and tricks to get better in days and minutes and hours. I don't know what, but he has some magic pill, man. He does the magic along with his team. Yeah, so that's about it when it comes to discussing different my top 5 predicted athletes in the men's open category. Now, if you ask me, after what we have gone through in this video, after what we have discussed in this video, I think this is how it's going to finish. I see Dexter Jackson at number 5, and I see William Bonac at number 4. I see Roelly Winklaar at number 3, and then a face-off between Shawn Rhoden and Brendan Curry for the top spot. If Shawn Rhoden is the same as he was last year, or probably 10%, even 10%, I would say, less than that, he's gonna win it. And if he is not that guy, and if he's small, because I think he's shredded, but probably has lost a bit of size, and we have to see when the posing starts or the pre-judging starts. So for me, I think Shawn Rhoden is going to defend his title. I think he's going to reach there where he was last year, or probably get close to it, and if he does that, he's going to win the title. And Brendan Curry has an outside chance, but for that he has to work super hard. He has to impress the judges, and for that I think Shawn Rhoden has to not be at his best if Brendan Curry has to win it. So for me, 80% Shawn is going to win it. Just an outside chance for Brendan Curry, but I think Brendan is going to come in the top 2 for sure. So that's all from our side. Keep subscribing our channel, keep liking our videos, and we hope for good feedback from you guys in the comment section. Thank you.